Welcome, I am Professor J. N. Mandal, Department of Civil Engineering, IIT Bombay. So, I will take the lecture on the geosynthetics testing laboratory. Before the geosynthetics testing, one should know how to design this geosynthetics infrastructure. So, this design can be done by functional concept, specification concept and also by cost. But we should know that what are the different types of the function of the geosynthetics material. When you will design for any application, you should know that what are those functions, and this is very important. So, here I am showing you the different types of the function. So, this function as a separation function, reinforcement function, filtration function, drainage function and contaminant. There are many other functions which can be used for the design of the landfill, but these are some few specific functions I am presenting here. So, the material like this geotextile material which act as a separation, also the reinforcement and the filtration, drainage, and geogrid material, because it used for the reinforced soil wall or retaining wall, that is why it acts as a reinforcement. Geonet material is function as a drainage. Geomembrane material, it is an impermeable material, that is why it acts as a containment. Geosynthetics clay liner, that is alternative to the geomembrane, so that is why it acts as a containment. Geo5, you know, it acts as a drainage. Geofoam material, it acts as a separation, and geocomposite means it acts as a separation, reinforcement, filtration, drainage or containment. So, these are the defined types of the function for the different types of the geosynthetics material. Now, I will just briefly explain what do you mean by the separation. You can see here that the red one is the geosynthetics material. It may be open, non-open geotextile, it may be geogrid material, and top one is the coarser material and bottom one is the finer material. So, if you can think about design for any kind of the pavement, so what will happen? The coarser material is the aggregate, finer material is the very soft clay. For example, that if this is the soil and if this is the subgrade, that means this is the finer material, and you place the aggregate on the top of the subgrade. So, when there is no geotextile material and due to the application of the load or wheel load, all the aggregate will penetrate into the subgrade or into the subsoil. So, if you design for the road, the majority of the aggregate will penetrate into the finer material, and if you draw a relationship between the California bearing ratio and percentage of aggregate loss. So, you can have a curve bent like this. CBR is less 1, 2, 3, CBR is less, percentage of the aggregate is lost. CBR is 2%, again is reduced to 60%. So like that you can see for the construction of the road you are losing about like 50 or 60, sometimes 100% of the good quality of the aggregate. But this is a conventional method. We design the pavement as per the IRC code specification, and let us say for the thickness of the pavement as per design, let us say 1200 millimeter in the conventional method. Then you go for the sub base, base course and wearing course, etc. This is a conventional method. But if you adopt the geosynthetics material, then what will happen? Now, if we adopt the geosynthetic material, let us say that this is the geosynthetics material, this designated as GS, and this is the final material, and top one is the coarser material. So this the coarser material and this is the final material. When geosynthetic material is there between the coarser and the final material, this good quality of aggregate cannot penetrate it into the final material. That means you are saving good quality of the aggregate or across the road, because here geosynthetic material act as a separation. So this is the function of the geosynthetic material. And now if you can design, then thickness of the pavement reduced to 1200 millimeter in the conventional method, it reduced to 600 millimeter. So you can save the money, you can save the time for the construction of the pavement. So here geosynthetic material act as a separation. Now what is the role of the coarser material? You see that every material is good and bad. Here aggregate is very good, because aggregate has a very good strength material. But aggregate is good for drainage, aggregate is good for strength, but when this aggregate will penetrate it into the finer material or the subsoil, then this good quality of aggregate lose its strength. On the other hand, if we can think the finer material or clay material is good and clay material also bad. When they say the clay material is good, when you can use for the landfill as a compacted clay liner, it acts as an impermeable material, it is good. But when this clay material, it is very difficult to construct any kind of the structure when it is very soft clay. So that is bad. So each and every material has a good and also the bad. So here I want to focus that how the geosynthetic material act as a separation between the coarser and the finer material. So this one of the main function is the separation. You should know for the design that what are the function of the geosynthetic material. Here separation is the function. Now next we will also study about the filtration and how you will perform the test for the filtration. So here water can pass along the plane of the geosynthetic material. So it called the filtration. when water passes across the plane of the geosynthetic material, it is called the filtration. So, here geosynthetic material act as a filter, and in geosynthetic engineering term it will perform the test which you call the permeability or permittivity. So, we will perform test on the related with the filtration material. Majority of the structure around the world fail due to the filtration and drainage, because most of the cases we do not design proper kind of the filtration and drainage. So, it is very important to know how to perform the filtration and the drainage test. Now, here this is the geosynthetic material, and when the water or liquid or gases, when the water or the liquid or gases pass along the plane of the geosynthetics, along the plane of the geosynthetic material is called the drainage. So, this we call the transmittivity. So, do not confuse with the filtration and drainage. Filtration means if this is the geosynthetic material, water can pass across the plane of the geosynthetics is called the filtration, and when the water pass along the plane of the geosynthetic material is called the drainage or the transmittivity. So, we talk about the separation function, filtration function and the drainage function. Now, here geosynthetics act as a reinforcement function. For example, this is the slope. This slope can fail like this, then you can place the geosynthetic material between the embankment and foundation to increase the factor of safety. So, here geosynthetic material act as a reinforcement. So, the beauty of this geosynthetic material for a particular application is not only act as a separation, filtration or drainage, but also act as a reinforcement. For an example, that for the road construction. So, if this is the geosynthetic material, let us say this is the geosynthetic material and this is the coarser material, okay, and this is the finer material, this is the finer material. So, this is a good quality of aggregate and this is the finer material. So, here geosynthetic material act as a separation which can separate the coarser and the finer material. Now, when there is a rain, so water can percolate like this from top to the bottom. So, water can passing from top to the bottom. So, it act as a filtration. So, geosynthetic material act as a filtration. So, initially this geosynthetic material act as a separation, here geosynthetic material act as a filtration because rainwater is passing across the plane of the geosynthetic, that is why it is a filtration. Now, if the finer soil, there is a excess pore water pressure development is there. So, in that case the water can flow from the bottom to the top, from the bottom to the top. So, it can flow like this also. So, that means this geosynthetic material is also act as a filtration. What you can think a kind of the capillary action. So, for the capillary action also you can use the geosynthetic material which can act as a filtration. Now, water can pass along the plane of the geosynthetic material like this, water can pass. For example, that if I draw a magmin like this, and if this is the drainage here, okay, these are the drainage, okay, path is here, and geotextile material is here. So, water can pass along the plane of the geosynthetics due to application of load and then drain it out. So, here geosynthetic material act as a drainage. It act as a drainage. Here geosynthetic material act as a, because I say that water will pass along the plane of the geosynthetic material. So, that is the reason here geosynthetic material act as a drainage. For the same material, that means it act as a separation, it act as a filtration, and also it act as a drainage. So, now when you will apply the wheel load on the top of the road or the top of the aggregate, then what will happen? So, if you apply the load, wheel load, then you can see the shape of the geotextile will be like this due to the wheel load. This is the wheel. This is the wheel load. Due to the wheel load, the shape of the geosynthetic material will be like this. This is the geosynthetic material. So, here there is a development of tension membrane. That means this geosynthetic material will act as a reinforcement. This geosynthetic material will act as a reinforcement. So, that is why I am trying to say that geosynthetic material is not only act as a separation, filtration and drainage, but also act as a reinforcement. So, this act as a multifunction. That was the beauty of the use of geosynthetic material. And you can also use for the protection. This black one is the geomembrane material and this is the geotextile material. So, here the geotextile material act as a cushion. For example, that for the construction of the tunnel, if you want to construct a tunnel, let us say this is the tunnel, this is the drainage, and you are constructing a tunnel. Rough rock surrounding is there, and you can go for the railway or the road, whatever it may be, railway. So, what will happen that because for the rock, here is a rock or there is a fracture, so water can percolate and water can enter into the tunnel. So, this will be a greatest problem. Even then, for any tunnel work, even in metro railway where there have been construction of the tunnel, so you need proper kind of to control the seepage. This is very important to control the seepage. So, what is the role of the geosynthetic material? So, you can place that one layer of the non-woven geotextile material. This is geotextile material GT. You can place the another layer of the geomembrane material here. Below this is geomembrane material. So, when there is a rain, okay, then what will happen when there is a rain or any water? So, this geotextile material will act as a filtration and drainage out. This is the drainage. It will be drainage out, or from this side also it can be, this is the drainage, so it can be drainage out. For geotextile material, water can be drained out. Now, this is the geomembrane material, it is impermeable material. So, water cannot penetrate it into the tunnel. So, this geomembrane will act as a barrier because this is the impermeable material. Now, sometimes if there is any angular rock which can penetrate it into the geotextile material, and there is a possibility for the damage of the geotextile material, but it will not damage the geomembrane material directly. So, here this geotextile material act as a cushion or it protect. So, no water then can be penetrated into the tunnel and tunnel is safe. So, you need for the design of the tunnel that proper kind of the testing for the selection of the geotextile material as well as geomembrane material, geotextile material which is permeable, geomembrane material which is impermeable material. So, here geosynthetics material act as a protection or the cushion. And this is geomembrane, you know, for the landfill you can use as a barrier. What is impermeable material? And it cannot be contaminated, the water cannot be passes through and it can control. For example, the landfill, if you want to construct a landfill, so there are different types of the landfill. So, if you want to construct a landfill like this, conventional system you know, but alternative system you place the different types of the geotextile material which will act as a filtration drainage. You can use the geomembrane material which will act as an impermeable material. So, all kind of municipal solid waste or the industrial waste or the low radioactive waste, it can be protected. So, there should not be any formation of contamination in the ground, which is the conventional method which we use as a compacted clay liner. So, here the geomembrane material will act as a barrier. So, you need proper kind of the testing, proper kind of the thickness of the geomembrane, proper kind of the properties of the geomembrane to select for the as a landfill liner. So, here geosynthetic material act as a barrier. So, all these geosynthetic material I mentioned here, what can it be used? It can be used in the national highway and or widening of the highway, road over bridge, urban and rural road. You know there are a lot of roads are coming up, widening of the highway also, lot of road over bridge projects are coming up, where you can make use of the geosynthetic material. Then reinforced soil wall or mechanically stabilized reinforced soil wall, steep slope, road over bridge and abutment. You can improve the ground by the use of the prefabricated vertical bundle instead of the sand drain, because sand drain it may take so much time, but with the aid of the prefabricated vertical drain, then time will be the less, construction will be the very fast. So, you can construct the very fast and it is a money saving, it is a time saving. You can construct the embankment on the soft soil. You know there are many good quality of aggregate is not available. You can make of use the alternative new light material which we have developed. You can make use for that material and which only to be placed on the embankment and can construct the embankment on the soft soil. Can use for the Indian Railway and the airport, solid waste management, that is landfill. reflection cracking pothole, I have shown you some slide also earlier, drainage, filtration, erosion control. This is one of the most important, and you can make use of this geosynthetic material. You can use for the building, for greenery, dewatering, sewage treatment plant, and also the coastal protection. Why use it? Significant saving, cost competitiveness against the other construction material, faster rate of construction, sustainable development, and lower carbon footprint. Reduce the land requirement and difficult site restriction. Where there is a difficult site cannot be constructed, you can make use of the geosynthetic material. For example, that any railway, suppose if there is a soft soil, earlier they are to divert the railway some other direction. You do not need it. You can make use of the geosynthetic material, and you can straight railway line can be constructed with the use of geosynthetic material. With this you can have employment opportunity, human capital, commercial, and the business potential. Road you construct, both sides of the road you can provide with the different types of the plantation, different types of the flower, you can sell it, export, import it, and also you can earn the money, you can give the employment to the people. So there is a lot of employment opportunity are there. Less periodical maintenance. Earlier, suppose you are to the conventional method, you require a lot of time for maintaining the existing road, but here you do not need it because it is clogging free. Increase the lifetime of the road, and it is a green technology. So, major application of this area, as I mentioned, transportation and geotechnical engineering, where you can mainly use the geotextile material, geogrid material, and geocomposite material. And geoenvironmental engineering, like a landfill, earthen dam, canal, reservoir, where you can use the geomembrane material, geosynthetic clay liner, and the geonet mainly. And there are two related problems. One is the strength related problem, another is the flow related problem. So, strength related problem like the mechanically stabilized reinforced soil wall, road, and the reinforced soil steep slope. Another flow related problem, that is hydraulic system, where you can use the geomembrane and geocomposite, geopolyester mainly. And the private development, you can use all type of geosynthetics material. So, what is that most important, that you should know what should be the defined types of the function and what will be the defined types of the application when you will design. So, it is when you go for the any design, so you require design by the cost, design by the availability of the material, and design by the specification. So, if you know what properties are required for all these type of the application and their function, then you can design it. Thank you very much.